Aloha and welcome to Mackinac Island this morning. Beautiful sunrise just came up, and just thought I'd show that to you. We had the ship arrive sometime during the night, American Queen Voyages, but the sun reflects beautifully of it. Anyway, come join us today as we explore the island. Today we will leave our boat Mahalo at the marina and explore Fort Mackinaw. So come along for the adventure.
Ready! Fire!
Aloha! We are Sava, Cynthia, and Alex, along with our two dogs, Lucy and Shadow. We're traveling America's Great Loop, a 6,000-mile North American waterway from Florida to Canada and back down via the Mississippi. Follow us on this journey on our boat called Mahalo. It's a beautiful glow this morning as the sun rises on the fort, the hotel here. All right, Alex has got his bike. We are ready to go explore today.
We're going to go to the fort.
We're going to go to the fort.
Island.
And we're going to try to sneak into the...
No, we're going to Sadie's Ice Cream Parlor at the Grand Hotel.
It's not sneaking. The ice cream parlor at the Grand Hotel. So that's on our menu besides doing some shopping and just visiting the island. What a beautiful day here on Mackinac Island this morning. Alex is already out there riding his bike. It's supposed to have been overcast. Maybe that's coming. But right now, it's actually very, very beautiful. So this is the Indian dormitory. In fact, it served as many different things. It says here, when the treaty in 1836 was formed, the federal government took 15 million acres from the Indians. But when they came to the island, this was a dormitory to house them. It was also a customs house later on, and it says it also became a public school in 1867 until 1960.
So the dormitory was for Indians coming to visit and get paid treaty money.
That's right.
This was not
That's right.
a dormitory where, as we've heard,
to house
Native
them.
Americans that got, like, their children got captured and held in school. That was not what this was.
Yeah.
Indians came here, stayed here while they paid their treaty. And that treaty was the one that did that huge transfer. Not saying it was totally fair, but we won't go into the details.
We won't go into those details. No. These horses tend to have the same kind of what do you call it, the harness with the trim there?
That's that same match set.
Yeah.
With the white feet. And the same carriage. There was a lady driving it yesterday, but I thought these horses were so pretty because they were so matched.
Beautiful view of the fort here. So I believe the ticket office is over there. We already have our tickets, so that's hopefully where we're going to enter. Not as busy yet as it was yesterday, but we look forward to going back down the street here. This is the state park and the fort. Not sure what the story is with this old house here, but they show you on the edge what it actually looked like on the outside. A log cabin kind of.
Corner
Yeah.
that they preserved.
The market here. The very old cell phone towers on top of that building are from the 1860s. Yeah, this street is definitely
Scenic.
scenic, old style. Great view of the harbor right down. You see Mahalo down there. Missionary Bark Chapel. This Missionary Bark Chapel is a reconstruction patterned after chapels built on the island in the late 1600s. The original was erected by early Jesuit missionaries.
It is. It's not hot. It's interesting that this structure has like kind of its own natural cooling just for the way it's designed.
All right, the blooper roll.
All right, you know why this is funny? It's because I was trying to quickly get a picture of the Grammy going past the old church too, and then he's like, "We have the same. We find the same stuff we want to film." We're sick souls.
It really was. This really was supposed to be a take of the church, and let's get started with the church. So this church right here is actually from 1882, right here.
The furnishings in here actually include a altar of hand-carved walnut, and 2 of the chancel chairs were made by soldiers that were here at the fort. So really cool. There's some original artifacts.
Across from the Trinity Church is the entrance to Fort Mackinaw. At the time of our visit, the adult ticket was around $16.50. It is a slight incline going up this hill to the entrance of the fort. Beautiful view of the island, and we can see Mahalo down there in the harbor.
I just took a picture at the ticket office for the fort on Mackinac Island. It said dogs are welcome. I specifically asked the lady, are dogs allowed to go in the buildings? Because otherwise one of us would have to wait outside with the dogs. She said no, they're allowed. Very interesting. So bring your dog.
We're gonna bring Lucy next time. There's no question that the soldiers had a really good view. Here's the view of the town, of course, but they could see the harbor. They could see way out. All right, this is steep, and 25 steps go through the fort here. I can even see the original steps. Oh, you're right, Alex. The original steps are right underneath here.
Survival of the fittest.
Yeah, really. Okay, thank you.
Clearly the parade grounds right here. I trust these were officers' quarters because look what a view they had from up here. Absolutely stunning. Just saw 2 soldiers. There's a cannon right there. The guardhouse, 1828. And here, a new root cell called the Black Hole to punish disobedient soldiers. Okay. Be on your best behavior is what it's saying. There's the cat o' nine tails, a common punishment there. Beautiful view. This is the, well, it says the tea room. I don't think they had the...
In just a few moments, at 11:30, there will be taking place the people of Fort Mackinaw walking tour right here on the parade ground.
Top floor and Company K on the bottom floor, all connected to the 23rd Regiment of Infantry. Those 80 to 100 men for those 6 years would have been responsible for the daily actions of this fort for 6 years, and so it's well connected. I think we have a different understanding of work today than we did back then. Originally ran a regiment of black troops, so that is his lineage before he got to this post. He would be the superintendent of the national park as well, which was on the island, which was just out back. It's the whole island. As the commandant of a post and the superintendent of a national park, he was spread pretty thin. I talked about extra duty pay. 6 days a week, very, very heavy involved. But they also do have leisure time, and this is a very leisure post. This is not like those posts they have out west. 90% of the Army at this point stationed west of the Mississippi, involved in combat with the Plains Indians. This is a tourist destination. They open it up 3 days a week to let tourists inside to explore it. It is a very cushy post, essentially. Paycheck if I bought only here. So fear has actually gone down or wages have gone up. I don't know which. Ball team. It's called the Never Sweats. Lieutenant Edward Pratt actually founds that. I mentioned him a couple times on this tour now, I've noticed. The post surgeon at the time, Dr. William Corbusier, did not like the baseball team because he got a lot of broken.
All right, we're going to do a quick visit here to the Officers' Stone Quarters, 1780. It looks like one of the oldest buildings actually here.
Hang on, Colton. No way! There's another place to go outside. Are we going to go to the right of it?
Just some of the rooms here.
Deborah's no, sir.
Rose Van Allen Webster. So we don't want to be late for the rifle presentation demonstration. It's going to happen here in just a couple of minutes.
Will it be in the grain?
Yes.
Okay.
Wood Quarters, 1816. The canteen, they finally put up. That boosted morale. Cloakroom. Post canteen, look at the register. All sorts of goodies in there. Chewing tobacco. Best of all, check out the view they had from this balcony right here. You cannot beat this. Ah, and there's Mahalo down there in the marina. I always gotta say that. She's a good boat. So right past the coast canteen, you have the post canteen billiard room. Someone had a lot of fun when they're not actually soldiering. What do you think of this, Alex? Pretty cool?
Yep.
Is a massive improvements over previous weapons the Army had adopted for standard issue use, meaning that every single soldier got one. Reason being, because this is a breech loader. I'm loading everything from the back of the weapon. Gone are the days we have to tear open a paper cartridge, pour powder down the barrel, then ball, and then fiddle with a ramrod, send it all the way down, then fill with a percussion cap, then cock and then fire. I don't need to do any of that. It's not the American Civil War. It's about 20 years afterwards. All I need to do with this weapon is, with the manual of arms to load it, is cock the hammer back twice, open the rising breech block, take a very modern looking brass metallic cartridge, the 4570, 45 first the size other projectile, 70 first how many grains of powder to be held within. I take that, insert it into the breech, shut the breech block, cock the hammer back one more time, and I'll be ready to fire. Well-trained soldier, one of those old Civil War era muzzle loaders, could really only achieve a rate of fire of maybe 3 to 4 shots in a minute if they're actually a relatively well-trained soldier and actually fast with their weapon. Along with that, they really only could achieve 300 to 400 yards away in accuracy. But with this weapon, a well-trained soldier should be able to hit a target consistently at 1,200 yards away. So a very much increase in accuracy. And the rate of fire of this weapon going from 3 to 4 shots in a minute from the Civil War to 10 to 15 shots in a minute. So this weapon is a massive improvement of those old muzzle loaders. And there's a bit of a problem in the U.S. military at this time when this rifle was first adopted. Even though this weapon is incredibly accurate, there's an issue. Soldiers themselves aren't accurate. We have a bit of an idea that if you were born in the 1800s, you were like Davy Crockett. You were able to hit anything at anywhere, no problem. Well, the reality is a little different. Soldiers at this time, when they actually joined the military, most of them have never even seen a rifle, let alone picked one up. So when they join the military, they also aren't actually trained in how to be accurate with their weapons. There was no training for these soldiers even during the American Civil War, only thing they would teach them is how to load their weapon and the actual tactics of the day. Actually being proper marksman wasn't taught to a soldier unless you're part of a specific specialty unit like a sharpshooting group. But the average private didn't know how to properly use this weapon. We'll be putting in these historically inaccurate rifle earplugs. The nice thing for all you fine folks, you have your more historically accurate earplugs, the Mark 1s, located at the end of your fingertips. You just insert them like so.
The Mark 1.
I'll go ahead and insert this last earplug and move to the middle of the parade ground, fire off just a few rounds for you folks. So all you need to do is sit back, relax, and enjoy. You're too kind. As you're able to see, I'm able to fire off those 3 rounds in pretty quick succession. But even though this rifle really allowed the U.S. Army to adopt new tactics, moving away from the old line battles that they had during the American Civil War to spreading out, focusing on more squad tactics and all of that, really teaching these soldiers how to be true marksmen. There are a few problems with the rifle. So later in 1892, they adopted the Craig Jorgensen rifle. The improvements there, that it's a bolt-action weapon, a higher rate of fire, has an internal magazine as well. You don't have to reload after every single shot, unlike this weapon. And as well as that, the new rifle, one of probably the bigger improvements is that it is now smokeless powder. This rifle is still using black powder. You can tell the amount of smoke that comes out of the rifle, and that smell, very sulfurous smell that black powder makes once it burns. Mm-hmm. Now, I've been talking about one very specific part of the United States Army at this time.
What was the model on that rifle?
This one in particular is a model 1873 Springfield. This is what they adopted. This is the first standard issue breech loading weapon. So you can see right there on the actual breech block, 1873. Although not the entire weapon is a model 1873. You have an 1879 sight. You have an 1884 barrel, and then the trigger is an 1883. So really, the only thing that's on here that was the original parts would have been this original model number here on the breech block. But you see these weapons get changed out for the new equipment. There's a lot of new ammunition that is issued out. So quite often you're seeing these weapons change quite regularly. So this is not uncommon to have a weapon with multiple different eras.
The bayonet is actually much larger than I thought. That's almost like 12 inches, isn't it? 13? 14?
It's around that, but this is actually relatively short for a bayonet.
Really?
Not really, but it kind of is. You'd see other bayonets were a little taller as well.
I was expecting to be shorter for some reason. Yeah.
Some of them you have to keep in mind at this time is when they're fighting, you want as much reach as humanly possible.
Sure.
So that's why this bayonet is so far. So when you're actually fighting somebody, you can keep them away from you.
Jesse Morris was born on November 3, 1864 on Beaver Island. They moved to Mackinac Island in 1871. Jesse's father owned the John Astor House Hotel. After graduating as a music major, she married Lieutenant Morris, and this was their first apartment. Lieutenant Benjamin Morris was a sharpshooter and a West Point graduate and served here at Mackinac Island. Next, Alex, we're going into the kids' quarters. Alrighty. What is cool is that they have this kids area for kids to hands-on experience a lot of things. In this room, they get to try on different jackets so they can look like a soldier. And rifles. Pretty cool. What do you think, Alex? Some photographs so they can see what they look like and then try to dress like them. The Post Hospital, 1928. Here's a picture of what it looked like some wild 1890s. Wow, nice shot too. Well, let's go inside and take a peek. Military medicine. the exit. Stethoscopes, the old stethoscope right there. Fresh air, which you get lots of here. Smallpox vaccinations, 1846. Bloodletting. The sawing. Would suck. Oh, the suction cup. Yeah, suction cup.
I fear is near the end of his journey. For 4 years, he has been subject to occasional attacks of pain in the region of the tailbone.
The West Blockhouse, 1799, is the western side of the defenses. A good view of the golf course down there and the town of Mackinac. And of course, Mahalo. The tea room is the diner here, the restaurant. Beautiful view if you dine here though. Get our first view of the Grand Hotel there with the golf course here. People riding some horses down there. The view from inside the guardhouse. There's Alex right there. Inside the guardhouse. I guess you have a pretty good view. Vinny and Sherry, everyone's got their graffiti here, Alex.
Yep.
Good view of the backside of the hospital right here. Tell them.
I just saw a wind vane. It looks like a fish on top of what I guess is Quartermaster House.
Right there, sure enough, it's a fish as a wind vane. Looks like the house is leaning in a bit, the porch, doesn't it?
Our original structures.
Something's not quite straight. Beautiful. This looks like the bedroom right here. And here, dining room. So it's often had servants. And this must be the kitchen, right, Alex? Mm-hmm. Looks like the kitchen. It continues in there. Yep. Not sure. Looks like it continues. Is the fort continue over there? Is that outside the fort, Alex? I know, somehow we go out here, come back in here, and this, we're in, looks like another kitchen. Not sure if that's the, I don't know, rocker. It's like, I don't think that's the dunny. Another dining room here. And that looks like a sitting room. If we go that way. Yep. Alright, time to go up the stairs and see what we find up here.
A fireplace up there. I guess the kitchen's frozen.
Painful death.
Hill Quarters, 1835. Beautiful view though for officers' quarters here.
Where did they come from?
Howdy, folks. Howdy. My name is Josiah. My loader today is Isaac, and this is our Model 1841 6-pound smoothbore field gun. Now that's a very long and technical name, and each one of those words means something about the cannon. That's just how they named them back in the day. But we're just going to be focusing on that model year, Model 1841, the year when this cannon was been designed and adopted by the U.S. military. That 1841 year puts it just in time to see its first service during the Mexican-American War, 1846 to 1848. That is the conflict that saw this nation gain most of its modern territorial holdings in the southwestern section of the country. Think Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico. Now, by the end of that war, this cannon is coming up on 8 years old, just getting about to a decade, and it's showing its age. Cannon technology is moving very quickly in this century, in the 1800s. But it sees more limited service another 10 or so years later during the American Civil War, 1861 to 1865. It would be primarily employed by the South. The North had the industrial capabilities to not need to buy up old antique weapons. However, the South was perfectly fine buying up older guns from the Mexican-American War and prior to supplement their artillery. Now, after that war, this cannon is really old. It's coming up on 2 decades or more. And so, it is at the end of its serviceable lifespan. At the same time, starting in the 1860s, tourism is coming to Mackinac Island. By the 1860s and 1870s, they're actually getting ready to found a national park on this island. So, its military significance is gone. By the 1880s, when the men who re-represent part of the 23rd Infantry Regiment, Companies E and K, are stationed here at Fort Mackinaw, there is no military importance to this post anymore. We have a peaceful border with Canada for over 70 years. The park itself is actually being run by the fort. The War Department ran all of the first national parks, including Mackinac Island National Park. So, at this peaceful post, which is primarily running a national park, they don't need any modern weapons. At the time in the 1880s, they have cannons that could reach up to 5 miles away with much larger payloads. Not to mention they are breech loaders and rifled. However, here at Fort Mackinac, they don't need any of those modern weapons of war. They simply need old pieces of artillery lying around that the War Department has to give them so that they can fire what are called salute shots. Salute shots are a large ceremonial shot fired off for various holidays and special occasions. Memorial Day, which would have been known as Decoration Day, got one. The 4th of July got a national salute, so 38 of these in a row. Deaths of presidents and generals, you would see salute shots fired. As well as for the first boat of tourists to the island after a long winter, they would light one off for them. So, this tourist destination in the 1870s, running a national park, not getting any modern weapons of war, getting these old things to fire salute shots. They got 2 6-pounders, 2 12-pounders, and 1 howitzer, which would have sat right about where that barrel is today. Now, our original cannons were all taken during the Second World War and melted down for scrap. So, while we have our very good reproductions, turns out you can still buy cannons if you're willing to spend some money on them. And we made sure to get one that is a Model 1841 6-pound smoothbore field gun made off of that model pattern from 1841. So, this is the type of cannon that we would have been firing. It is bronze. Down there we have another one that's cast iron. So, just to show you some variation in the cannons. Now that you know the history of what we're doing, including the salute shots that would have been fired for tourists back in the day, including some that would have been visiting the fort, we're going to fire them off for you. The only thing I have to do is plug this hole with my thumb. This is called a thumb stall over the touch hole. It's the easiest job for one guy to do while he talks. Isaac is going to take all the rest of the work here. So he's going to insert what's known as a gunner's worm or a gunner's auger into the barrel. He is going to search the piece. That would be the command. Give it a couple twists, pull it out. The goal here is to dislodge any loose debris from the cannon left over from the previous firing. Now we know this cannon is empty. It could take powder on. However, we're not going to load any powder yet because there still could be some burning embers or flames inside this cannon that would not have been removed. Also, the cannon could just be warm from the previous firing and you want to douse it. So, he is going to sponge the piece. That is the command. He is going to take a wet sponge, dip it in a little bit of water, and run that down the barrel. The goal here is to introduce moisture and cool down the piece, while also creating a vacuum. While he removes the piece, I will be plugging this hole and you'll hear it collapse. There is a vacuum that is created. So now we know that the cannon is cooled down with the water, the flames and embers are killed by the vacuum, the piece has been searched and no longer has debris inside. Now we are ready to safely load our historically inaccurate tinfoil charge. Now, this is 5 ounces of corn-grain black powder wrapped in tin foil. Originally, they would have used a thing known as muslin cloth, but for various reasons, including muslin cloth's expense, as well as its tendency to shoot flaming rags into Marquette Park, which is no longer a farm for the fort, is now a park, we now use tinfoil, which safely turns into confetti, which we'll then pick up. So, he is now going to load the piece and then ram the piece, the other end of that wet sponge, making sure that that charge is fully seated to the base of the barrel. This is where we're going to use this touch hole to manipulate the charge and get it ready for priming and firing. Now that this process is complete, I can roll the cannon into position with the help of Isaac in the form of 2 battery would be the command. There we go. Now that this cannon is in the battery position, we can now prime it. The first step is to take a tool known as a gimlet, which we are using today as a gunner's pick. A priming wire. We don't have a gunner's pick. And he's going to insert that into the touch hole in the command point and prime, which I don't know if that one is current anymore. But point and prime.
Point and prime is still in the new manual.
Okay, good. Point and prime. What he's doing right now is poking a hole in that tin foil charge, giving us good access to the core and grain back powder within. You want to make sure you have all that tin foil nice and removed out of there, or else you have a hang fire or a misfire. We had 2 of those this morning, so we're not looking to have a repeat. So, now that this cannon is pointed and primed, we can insert our friction primer. This is the same technology they would have used in the 1840s when this cannon was new, same technology from the 1860s when it was old, same technology from the 1880s when it was antique, and it's the same technology we use now in the 21st century. He is going to insert this into the touch hole. It is a friction primer. It is a tube filled with black powder, roughly as much powder as a .22 lawn rifle, connected to a pin at the top with a black gooey substance known as mercury fulminate, a friction-sensitive chemical invented in the 1820s. When he pulls that pin, he will ignite that mercury fulminate, which will ignite the powder in the tube, which, like a hand grenade, will shoot that powder down into the barrel and ignite our salute shot. I have had it punch right through the tinfoil before when I forgot to use the gimlet. So I know it can, but also sometimes it can't, not even with the help, so we'll see. Now that that is fully inserted, he is going to attach a lanyard for safe and easy firing. He's going to step away from the cannon to pull that. This is what I like to remind people. This is a real cannon loaded with real black powder. It can make quite a sound. I will be plugging it here. You can continue to record a beautiful video with your phone. That is up to your personal priorities in life. I cannot tell you what to do. Now, with all that being said, there are only 2 commands left, and they are... Ready! Fire! Fire!
Well, that was a fun cannon firing. This is a view from behind all the barracks and the East Blockhouse. So this is a rare one, Cynthia, that we can actually go up.
Yes.
So Alex just went ahead of me. This is the East Blockhouse. So the East Blockhouse, you can actually go up. But I've always said these holes are really, really small. And this thing is tilted.
Whoa.
Yeah, it is.
Makes me feel like I'm
Yeah, they did not use a level when they built this thing, or it's sunk.
Basically, the cannons are holding this upright.
Maybe they were on the wrong side and tilted it, but boy, this is, it's really tilted this way. It really is tilted. And boy, would that be loud if you had to fire this cannon. Yeah, I'm ready to go back down.
I don't like the leaning.
No, this is, it's almost like being on the boat.
Look, Mommy!
Fort grounds, I guess, or something, Alex. What do you see? This is the north side, and the north gate are right below us of the fort. The north entrance.
Oh, look at the barge. Look at the big barge passing.
Yeah. Wow. View in the back, I didn't realize the barracks had such a big wing in the back. Wow. You got Cindy?
I was explaining to him where the restrooms were.
Okay. Looks like we can go to the top of the barracks from here.
Now, we didn't get to see the school or reading room yet.
Right.
Should we do that first and then go in?
Yep, let's do that, finish up. Alright, the reading room, 1879. It's rather late. We used this as a school as well for the 15 children that were here at the time. Wow. So what we're learning is that it wasn't just school kids coming here, it was actually soldiers actually coming in here to learn as well, to read, write.
It said that the discipline issues decreased when the soldiers were educated and could read and had other things to do, because then when they got out of the army, they could be more productive with society versus staying the whole time in the army, still not knowing how to read.
As you can see, people bring their dogs. We've seen several people bring their dogs Lucy would have liked to have come here. Had we known, we didn't know. Of course, she's not used to people, so she would have barked at everything like a fool. Well, Cynthia was just there. Now she left again, going back into the one-room schoolhouse.
It was talking about diversity in the reading room, which happened to be both a school,
Behind us.
the white building here,
Yeah.
the green shutters, was a school as well as a reading room for the soldiers, and became like a library. They had over 600 books that were, by the time this garrison closed. So, interestingly enough, that one of the officers that was here was from Prussia, which was Germany at the time. His name was Stommel. And it was just interesting because we were noting the hats earlier that we saw with the little spikes on top, which definitely looked Prussian.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of contributing.
Yeah, they mentioned over
European-
20 different nationalities were serving here.
Yes.
From immigrants, mainly Irish and Germans. But yeah, the army was not very popular after the Civil War, and they figured that reading and writing, education, and learning a trade while you're in the army would help people join.
It helped with discipline, right? The soldiers were disciplined by learning to read.
So seeing this map, we're just looking at where we came from. We went down here past the Trent Severn, Midland, Goblin Bay, went to Echo Bay, ended up in Perry Sound,
Bad River, then Killarney and
Glen Current. Stopped in
somewhere in this area here.
yeah,
Manitoulin Island,
Chicago 1. Did the waterfall. We did the Gore Bay.
Bridal Veil Falls.
And then Vidal Island, which was very rough for
And
2
then
nights.
Drummond Island.
Drummond Island. We stopped there, got out, and now
And here we are.
Mackinac.
Point to Mackinac.
Mackinac, right there. So, and then we continue on. Hopefully in a day or two, we're going to continue on to Charlevoix. And further down, we got to be in Joliet by the 14th of October. Soldiers. First sergeant's room right here. Quartermaster Storehouse. Post Bath House. Alright, the Denny. Okay. Just wondering what that was. Yes, they had hot water, looks like. Some tubs. Interesting. Thank you for joining us on the visit to Fort Mackinac. We felt it was really good value for the entrance fee and really give us an insight to the life on the island. On the way out, please be so kind and hit the like button, share it with your friends, and most important, please subscribe. It makes a world of difference to us. We will see you again next time as we continue our journey on America's Great Loop.